Hey everybody, and we are live. So it's been a little while since I've done one of these live streams. I've just been kind of swamped with work and clients lately. You know, it's springtime. The real estate market's really picking up. A lot of buyers are really out there in the market. And so I wanted to hop on here, and today I really got two objectives. One, I want to talk about how I'm working with my clients to strengthen their offers as much as possible and to actually get their offers accepted. I know a lot of people out there get very disheartened right now that their offers are just not getting accepted, and it can be very frustrating. You can get literally buyer exhaustion, or buyer fatigue is what we're calling it, right? You go out and look at all these properties, you get your hopes up, you submit offers, and like nothing gets accepted. So I want to talk to you guys some of the strategies that I'm using with my clients that we actually get our offer accepted. I have a closing tomorrow on a VA buyer, and the very first offer that we submitted, we got accepted. So that's kind of one objective. I want to talk about how to strengthen your offers. I actually have this morning, I submitted two different offers for two different buyers. Yesterday, I submitted an offer for another buyer. So I have three offers. I'm waiting on responses right now. Then Friday, I submitted another offer for another buyer. So that's four offers I've submitted now in the past like 3 days for four different buyers. So I've got plenty of experience with this, and I've kind of walked each of my clients through how to strengthen this offer as much as possible. So that's what I really want to talk about today. And then I've also loaded up a few comments from some of my videos, and I just want to respond to those comments and get kind of a conversation going. If you guys have any questions about real estate, by all means, comment down below, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. So Kevin says, good afternoon. I am from Florida. Good afternoon, Kevin. Thanks for joining the live stream. I'm from Maryland. And then it's kind of a rainy day today, actually. So you may notice two big differences from my live stream right now, which I'm very excited about. One, I got my fancy camera working. Usually I'm using my webcam. I got my fancy camera with the shallow depth of field. Very excited about that. I had to buy a new cable and got that working. Two, I've got one of these now. I don't know if you can really see that, but that is a silver play button from YouTube. So if you guys don't know, I actually do have a second YouTube channel. It's called Survival Know-How. It's all about like outdoor wilderness survival and like emergency preparedness. And that one just passed 100,000 subscribers. Actually, it's up to 111,000 now. So I got my silver play button, which I'm very excited. I got my fancy camera working. I'm very excited about that. So let's talk about offers and how to make your offer strong as possible. I think it's a great first topic to kind of dive into. So we are in a crazy market right now, and it kind of depends on where in the country you're at. I have a friend in Northern Virginia where it's incredibly competitive, and she's saying that they're getting 10, 15, 20 offers on properties within the first few days. So those sellers are kind of quickly just dismissing those offers left and right and really trying to narrow those down. And what she says she has a lot of VA buyers, and I have a lot of VA buyers. She's saying that it's almost impossible to get a VA loan accepted in Northern Virginia right now. And the reason being that there are a lot of, additional things with VA loans. One, there's a couple of small fees that the seller has to pay. You also have to pass the VA appraisal, right? And the VA has to make sure the home is in move-in ready condition. And that can get kind of a pain in the neck sometimes. So she's having a lot of her clients switch from VA to conventional. Now, what sucks about that is you usually have to pay maybe 0.25% higher in interest rate. That's not uncommon. But luckily where I'm at in Maryland, we're not getting 10 to 15 offers on properties. We're getting more like 3 to 4. I think the most I've seen is 11 one time on a property, and that property ended up selling for $50,000 above list price. So, there's another lead right there. Sorry, buddy, I'll have to call you back. So we're getting 3 to 4 offers within the first week here in Maryland. Sometimes for the first 3 days, we're getting that many offers. A good strategy for a listing agent is to put a home up for sale on a Friday. Like that. So this is what I do. I try to do coming soon status earlier in the week. I go active on a Friday. So anybody who has an email alert with a real estate agent or Redfin or Zillow, they'll get a notification on Friday. They can then schedule that showing for Saturday and Sunday. And I put in my listing, we'll review all offers on Monday. They give everybody time to look at the property over the weekend. That's what I do. That's the best strategy. If the listing agent is, worth their weight in gold, or They know what they're doing. That's what they're doing as well. So most of the time, you at least have the weekend if it's a good listing agent. So sometimes they're not, though. What was my point with that? But yeah, so within the first weekend, we're seeing 3 to 4 offers is not uncommon here. So what can you do to make your offer as strong as possible? So one is obviously you can offer above list price. Virtually all homes in our market right now are selling above list price. Like probably like 80-90% of them are selling above list price, and they have been for the last 12 months. That is what's driving the market up higher and higher and higher, is that almost all homes are going up, selling for above list price. That's just kind of common, and that's kind of the standard right now. Now, the concern with that is that homes typically still have to pass the appraisal. So you can't, if you have a $300,000 home, you can't offer them $400,000. Like the seller will look at that, or the listing agent will be like, no, we're not accepting that. There's no way it's going to appraise for $400,000. And I've seen sellers dismiss higher offers because they don't think the home's going to appraise for that. So you can offer higher. You can really only offer so much higher, like 3-4% or so. Anything crazy high, and now the seller's like, well, it's not going to appraise for that, so what's the point? So that's one way to get around this, is to type up an addendum saying that this is what I've submitted 2 of these this weekend, an addendum saying buyer agrees to pay seller $10,000 above under appraised value if the home does not appraise at contract price by $10,000 or more. Okay, so you get what we're saying here. So let's say it's a $300,000 house. You submit an offer for $330,000. If the home only appraises at $320,000, you're agreeing ahead of time, you're going to pay the listing agent $10,000 out of your pocket above the appraised value. So you can't finance that extra money there. And that is an incredibly powerful technique right now. I've represented sellers where we've got offers like that, and I just submitted 2 offers like that this weekend because everybody's worried about the appraisal right now. So them having that confidence that they can get $10,000 above what the appraised value is, or $2,000 or $5,000, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you can afford, that is going to make your offer really stand out. And I had a seller recently. We sold it was in the $600,000 price range. We had a ridiculously high offer, and then we had a moderate offer, but it had that contingency on it that they would pay above the appraised value if it underappraised. They went with that offer because it's kind of like a guarantee, you know. So that is definitely one strategy you can do. Another strategy that's pretty standard now, it's kind of standard, is to offer to buy the home as is. That's kind of the new norm right now. Pretty much all homes are selling for as is. Now here in Maryland, there's I guess there's 3 ways to do as is. It doesn't sound like this should be, but there's 3 ways. The one that I advocate for and I recommend to my clients is as is with inspections and the right to terminate. So what that means is that you purchase a home as is, and you write in there, we have 10 days to do home inspections. That's typically what I put in there. And you still have the right to back out of the contract during those 10 days after the home inspection. But what you're essentially agreeing is that you're not going to nickel and dime the seller for repairs after you do the home inspection. On a typical transaction, after the home inspection, the buyers typically request anywhere between like $500 all the way up to like $2,000 worth of little repairs that the seller makes. It's kind of annoying. I kind of hate that process, honestly, because it's always really frustrating to get the buyer and the seller to agree on things. And then if the seller does repairs and the buyer has to inspect them and make sure they're up to their standards, and that part gets a little complicated. But so saying as is with the inspection, right to terminate, you're agreeing ahead of time. You're not going to nickel and dime them. You can also do as is without inspections. No, yes. No, you can do as is with inspections, but you don't have the right to terminate. So essentially you're doing the inspection just for your informational purposes only. So you can still do the inspection. You have that knowledge. So when you move in, you can hire those contractors, but you don't have the right to back out of the contract. And I typically don't recommend that for my clients. I like them having that out to get out of the deal. And most sellers are still okay with that. Majority of them, they're perfectly fine with that. And that's really what I recommend, as is with inspections, right to terminate. And then after that 10-day window, 7-day window, whatever it is, the shorter you make it, the better for the sellers. But it's harder to schedule home inspections right now. Home inspectors are so swamped with work as well that it's just hard to get them on the books and schedule home inspections. Man, Malcolm, I finally caught you live. Man, I have some questions for you. All right, Curry, well, go ahead and ask your questions down below. But real quick, let me finish my train of thought here. So I was talking about how to get your offers actually accepted. So I don't remember what they were. So as is, right to terminate was one of them. Offering above list price was another one of them. Really, the shorter amount of days possible, the better to close on a home. So for example, like USAA and Veterans United and Navy Federal, they're saying they're taking 45 to 60 days to close on homes right now. If you had an offer for 45 days and somebody else had an offer, exact same terms, but for 30 days, most likely the seller's going to go with that 30-day offer. So what I get a lot of my clients that they have these pre-approval letters from Navy Federal, all these big banks, Bank of America, a lot of these big ones, Wells Fargo, they're taking 45, 30 days, 60 days to close on VA loans, some other loans. I've got a local lender that he hustles because I connect him with my clients a lot. He really hustles for me, and he can close them in 30 days. So a lot of times I connect my clients with this lender who can close the deals in 30 days, and that'll make your offer stronger right there. Another thing that people will say will make your offer stronger is submitting a higher earnest money deposit. Honestly, I've never really thought that was that effective of a technique. You could do that if you wanted to put a higher amount down as your down payment, but it's not that effective because 99% of all transactions, the buyer gets that money back. So it's not really that big of a deal. So another thing that is super powerful is to write a personal letter to the sellers. This is standard for me. Every client I have them do that. This can be a game changer. I've absolutely seen buyers accept a lower offer because they connected with, I've seen sellers accept a lower offer because they've connected with the buyers in some way because of a personal letter. So I have some clients right now, they have a baby on the way and they're moving from across the country, and they put that all in this letter. And like, we fell in love with your house. I want to raise my child there. I want to push my stroller on your sidewalks. They're really tugging at the heartstrings of the buyer or the seller. And that is super, super effective. I sold my last house last year, 2019, 2 years ago. I was in the Air Force for 11 years. If I would have gotten two offers, one of them was really high for, let's say, a conventional loan, and the other one was like $5,000 less, but the guy was like in the Air Force and just had a baby, and like, I don't know, I could somehow relate to him. I probably would have gone with the Air Force guy. I shouldn't, I don't know if I should say that out loud. That's kind of like, maybe somebody could misconstrue that as like discrimination in some way, but nonetheless, if you can somehow relate to the buyers, I've absolutely seen buyers, buyers are not, sellers. Sellers are not always concerned about the top dollar, right? A lot of times they want to know that their home is going to a good family. That's what they really want to know. And also when they're evaluating offers, the top highest amount isn't always the end factor, right? A lot of the terms are a big factor as well. So how long until they can close on it? Inspections, if somebody is requesting a lot of inspections versus as is, if you can waive the appraisal, that's what we call it waiving the appraisal, but you're not really. But if you can say I'll pay above appraised value, and there's another thing, I'm drawing a blank here. What was the other thing that I do? There's another addendum. Well, so another thing you can do is offer the seller a rent back. So a rent back is essentially you purchase the home, you close on the home, but the sellers don't move out yet. They're essentially your tenant, and they can live in that home for another week, 2 weeks, another month, however long you guys negotiate with them. And for a lot of people, they really do appreciate that. So if you are looking at a home, you can tell somebody lives in a home talk to the listing agent, ask them if a rent back or a post-settlement occupancy, what it's called, if that'd be helpful to the sellers. And if it is, that can be the game changer right there. If they now know like, oh, we could sell this house, we have all this cash, we can kind of take our time moving out. We don't need to be out in 4 weeks. That can be a big factor. So for that one, you really need to talk to them and see if a post-settlement occupancy is really something that's attractive to the sellers. All right, so we got a bunch of comments, guys. I really appreciate all of that. Let's hop on some of these. We got Moonlight Sunrise. Good name. Good afternoon, Lawson. Yeah, good afternoon. Moonlight Sunrise says, what is your anticipation on the mortgage rates by the end of 2021? I am currently under contract with new construction in South Carolina. I am worried about interest rates. I don't know. It's really tough to say. I am not anticipating any major spike in them, honestly. They went down, they've gone up a little bit, but I think they're heading back down right now. I'm actually refinancing this house. I got an estimate for 2.25, but I do have to pay a little bit of points for that. The Federal Reserve says that they're not going to raise interest rates until 2024. So I'm not expecting any major increase in rates until then. We may see a little bit of 0.1% up or down until then. So if I had a guess, I'd say at the end of the year, I think they're going to be lower. I mean, we're talking about 8 months from now? Yeah, I think they're going to be lower than they are right now. Congratulations on the new construction. That is a great option right now. It is such a crazy market right now. Just guaranteeing that you have something with new construction is not a bad way to go right now at all. Curry Shot says, yeah, I already read that one. Moonlight says, what is your anticipation on the mortgage rates? I already read that one. What am I doing here? I need a moderator in here, huh? Curry says, interest rates. I saw some of your previous videos about historical low interest rates. I just closed on a home. The loan manager informed me interest rates may go back to normal do you foresee this? I mean, they will eventually. The biggest drive of interest rates right now is two things. The Federal Reserve is lowering their federal lending rate, the rate that they lend money to banks, essentially. That was the biggest factor. But also the Fed is buying mortgage-backed securities. So the banks were getting all these mortgages. The Fed is then buying those mortgages in big bundles, essentially. That's the two things really keeping interest rates low. So I don't foresee them stopping that anytime soon. They said that they're not going to stop that until at least 2024. So I think on a macro scale, I think interest rates will still keep going down. That's my personal prediction. I don't know how low they can possibly go, though. This is like the lowest they've ever been in the history of America. Can they go down to 1%? Can they go down to negative interest rates? Negative interest rates are not great. And there are some countries that have negative interest rates, but I don't think on mortgages. They have negative interest rates on other things. I don't know about mortgages. So I think that we're pretty close to the bottom, but again, it could fluctuate. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3% up or down around here for a while. That's kind of my prediction, is that we're going to stay around this 2 to 3% range for the end of the year. So yeah, I wouldn't feel pressure. Don't feel pressure that you have to buy something right now to lock in a low interest rate. I wouldn't worry too much about that. But my personal, I think those two big factors are the Fed, what they're doing. I don't see them stopping that anytime soon. I am in South Carolina as well. Interesting that our questions are similar. Yes, it actually is. You guys should meet up. We'll have a meetup down there. Question, can I fund a cash flow property in this market without being underwater? Yeah, so that's an interesting question as well. So right now, it is a hard time to buy an investment property. You are essentially paying premium prices. You're paying retail prices right now. And when you start doing the analysis on rental properties, it's just hard to find something that the numbers really work out where you're cash flow positive. And I'll be honest, in most markets, that is hard. Most real estate investors, they find off-market properties. So if you can't find anything right now where the numbers are adding up, where you're cash flow neutral or cash flow positive, yeah, look into off-market properties. Look for sale by owners. There's people who do like bandit signs and stuff, and they do postcards and they cold call rental owners. You can get like lists of people who own rental properties. And another thing that you want to consider is that this is going to be a little bit blasphemy. This is going to be a little controversial for some people. But when it comes to rental properties, I don't think cash flow is everything. You want to be cash flow positive if you can. But if you find a property where you're cash flow neutral, and so what I mean by that is that your expenses every month, after you factor for things like your vacancy rate, right? You want to allocate some of your monthly rent towards when kind of like mentally allocate it for when the property is vacant, mentally allocate some of your rental income for maintenance and upgrades and stuff like that. But if all your expenses monthly on average are equal to your income of the property, you're cash flow neutral. It could still make sense to buy a property like that. If you watch my reports, the NAR said that here on the East Coast, home values have increased by 20% in the last 12 months. So let's say somebody had a property and it was cash flow positive, $100 a month, but it was, let's say a $300,000 house and it's cash flow positive $100 a month. Let's just see. So over the last 12 months, they would have made $1,200 profit. But a $300,000 house times 20% increase in value is $60,000. So great, cash flow, they made $1,200 over the last 12 months, but they made $60,000 in equity over the last 12 months. So there's really three ways that you make money from investment properties. Cash flow is one of them. A lot of people talk about cash flow. That's kind of the headline grabbing number there is cash flow, but appreciation is a big one, and I know a lot of investors, they just want to get in the market. They just want to in the market, exposed to the real estate market, because you can get massive leverage. If you put down 20%, you finance 80%, that's a 5-to-1 ratio there. So you're getting already 5xing your leverage on that. But that's just something else you want to really consider, that your biggest benefit is going to be from the appreciation of your asset. Now, the third way you make money from rental properties is from debt pay down. So if you buy a $300,000 house or you have a $300,000 mortgage, over the next 30 years, your tenants are slowly paying that down for you. And you can look at that as cash flow in a way. It's just, it's not cash flow coming to your pocket, is building equity in the property. So your home, in the next 30 years, a $300,000 house is going to double in value easily, maybe even triple in value. Plus they're paying down your mortgage for you. And another thing to consider is that, let's say you buy a property right now that's cash flow neutral. So your monthly rental income matches your expenses every month. Well, rents go up, right? As home values go up, rents go up as well. So maybe you're cash flow neutral right now, and maybe in 5 years from now, you can increase your rent by $100. Now you're cash flow positive $100. Another 5 years down the road, so 10 years down the road, you can increase your rent. Honestly, you could probably increase. I know people increase their rent like every year, but let's say every 2 years, right? You could probably increase your rent by a bit. So even if you're cash flow neutral right now, you can keep increasing your rent as you own the property, and your debt keeps reducing. And I think the last video I did, it talked about the NAR, National Association of Realtors, is predicting, they're foreseeing that home values will increase another 7% by the end of this year. So on a $300,000 house, let's just crunch some numbers here. So if you buy a $300,000 house times 7%, that's $21,000 in appreciation. Is what they're predicting by the end of the year. So it can be very hard to find something, but just having that exposure to the market can be very beneficial, I think. All right, so you guys made some friends there. Cool, you guys made some friends. Thanks, Malcolm. Yeah, thanks for the question, guys. I declare bankruptcy, Michael Scott. Yeah, he did that in one of the episodes. It's pretty funny. All right, Curry shot you. I wonder what that means. Oh, maybe it looks like you got a camera lens for an icon, so maybe it's photography. That would kind of make sense. So the builder of my current home is building a home next door to me. He informed me that the companies building homes are not making much money. He foresees the market crashing soon. So yeah, I don't know about that. If they're not making much money, I feel like they're making a lot of money. Lumber is ridiculously expensive right now. So maybe that's what he's referencing there, is that his costs have gone way up as well. And it kind of stinks. That's really, if lumber didn't cost as much, I feel like that could really help spur our the housing market and help get more cheap inventory in the market. But lumber is ridiculously expensive right now. Yeah, I don't know if I'd believe him. So the guy that you're buying the house from is telling you he's not making much of a profit. I don't know if he's the best resource for that. But the truth is, guys, I'm not really foreseeing a market crash anytime soon. I had my concerns earlier this year with the, my theory was that if the vaccine came out, everybody got vaccinated, then we'd see a surge of inventory hit the market in the springtime. That didn't quite play out because not everybody got vaccinated, and we had some logistic issues. And even right now, there's a lot of people refusing to get vaccinated. And anyway, I'm not really foreseeing a market crash, to be honest, man. I think when you look at the factors that are really stimulating our market, one is the low interest rates. I think they're going to stay low until 2024. That's what Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, is insinuating or hinting at. That he said he's not going to raise rates, and he has no plans to raise rates until 2024. Then the other factor is just low inventory. And I've shown charts like this, guys. Our inventory has just been dropping more and more and more for the last 10 years. People are just not selling their homes right now. And still with this whole, COVID thing, a lot of people are kind of weary about selling their homes right now as well. We need more inventory. That's what we need. If we somehow got a huge surge of inventory, so for a market crash, we either need a huge surge of inventory or a huge decrease in the buyers. So the Fed could cause a market crash right now. If the Fed said, we're raising interest rates, we're going to double the interest rate from 3% all up to 6%, that would cause a market crash. Right now, that would quickly eliminate all the buyers, half the buyers in the market. We would see a market crash with that. But I just don't see them doing that. So no, I'm not foreseeing anything in the immediate future. Catching up, I got in late. Congrats on YouTube Plate. Big accomplishment. Yes, thank you. I'm new to this market in Maryland. It is nutty. Yes, it is a nutty market right now. That's just kind of a good way to explain it. It is very different than what we saw a couple years ago. But, don't give in to buyer fatigue. If you rewatch this live stream, I give you a couple of tips. I actually have a really good video that I'm really proud of on my YouTube channel. It's like 10 tips to get your offer accepted. I go into much further detail in all these different techniques that I use with my clients. And I'm a listing agent and a buyer's agent. So when I have listings, I can see the buyer agents using these techniques on me, and that's how I learn a lot of them. Yeah, don't give in to buyer fatigue. You just got to keep at it. You'll get something, as frustrating as it can be. The builder also told me to let people buy and save for when the market crashed, to grab all the properties for a lower value than today. So you're kind of gambling on that. So let me give you a story. I always thought that there's going to be a huge stock market crash. I gave in to all these YouTube videos that I used to watch, and they'd all say, oh, look, all these bull markets, we have 8-year cycle, then a crash, 8-year cycle, then a crash. And we were up to 10 years into their bull market, and then 11 years and 12 years. And that big market crash just never came. And you know why it never came? What I did not anticipate is the amount of influence and shenanigans and market manipulation in our stock market by the Federal Reserve and our government, right? When we started having a crash, they literally printed trillions of dollars out of thin air and pumped it into the stock market to prevent it from crashing. And I didn't have that foresight before. And I really regret it because I did not invest nearly as much in a 401k or in stocks as I should have over the last like 10 years. I really missed out on that bull market because I thought that there's going to be a market crash. So my point is, so like obviously there's shenanigans going on with the stock market, with the U.S. government and the Fed artificially inflating it and keeping it up, and they're going to continue to do that. Why would they let it crash? They're going to continue to artificially inflate that, and I think they're doing the same exact thing right now with the real estate market. They, like I said, we are in the market we're in right now because of the Federal Reserve, because of them buying mortgage-backed securities, which is incentivizing the banks to put out more mortgages and then sell them to the Federal Reserve. And because they lower their lending rate, the rate that they lend to the banks, they are the ones creating this crazy market right now. They could take it away at any moment, but I don't think that they're going to. There are benefits to this market. It sucks being a buyer right now. That's true, but there are benefits to it. And one of them is that I think it's going to prevent a foreclosure crisis. You know, let's say, I don't know what the average equity is that people have in their house. Let's say the average homeowner now has like $50,000 in equity. If they got into a rough situation, they could sell their house. They're not underwater. They're far from being underwater on that property. So having that much equity, they could do a cash out refinance. They could sell it, take that equity, go somewhere else. Not having people underwater on their mortgages is a good thing for our economy and our society and the real estate market. And I think that is the objective of the Fed, of why the Fed is artificially inflating this real estate market. They have a lot of control over this, and I just don't foresee them lowering that stuff, knowing that it's going to crash the market. You know, so yeah, that's kind of my feeling on it right now, is I don't think the Fed is going to let this market crash. And they are solely responsible for propping this market up. And we've already seen them printing, what, I lost track, $4 trillion, $5 trillion. They've already said that they're going to keep printing trillions of dollars. So here's another theory. Here's another theory of mine. The stock markets keep going up. Real estate market keeps going up. These may be indications of inflation. These assets are inflating in price. This may be because the US dollar is losing value. We just haven't really realized it yet. You know, and what happens when you see inflation? So on average, you see 3% inflation. So the buying power of a US dollar decreases 3% a year. So when you buy assets, typically like groceries and cars and stuff, you have to pay more. They typically measure inflation with like milk and bread and like everyday consumer goods. But, you know, there are economists that measure inflation on like the real estate market and the stock market. And, you know, by that measure, like they're both going up. We could be seeing inflation right now. That may be why the stock and the real estate market is going up. And if that is the case, and I think we're going to see massive inflation regardless of whether it's because of the stock or real estate market. But if that is the case, you really just want to get your money into some kind of assets. You want to be in the stock market right now. You want to be in the real estate market so you can benefit from those appreciating assets. You don't want to hold on to a lot of cash right now. You know, so the average inflation rate is about 3% a year. Over the last 10 years, it's actually been lower. It's been about 2% a year. But did you know that in 1980, we saw 15% inflation in 1 year? 1 year, the US dollar lost 15% of its value. So if you worked really hard and saved up $100,000 and 1980 hits, and that $100,000 just lost $15,000 of its value because you kept it in US currency. That's inflation. Yeah, inflation sucks. That's why that's why I invest in cryptocurrencies, in Bitcoin and stocks and gold and real estate. And that's where I keep most of my money and my wealth, is in these assets rather than in cash. You don't want to be holding on to cash right now because it's just losing value while everything else is appreciating. I forget what my point was with that, but it's just that I don't think I'm not foreseeing a market crash. Where were we? Hold on a second. Catching up. Yep. Thanks for Angry Mom Flips. Okay. So if that's a YouTube channel, everybody go check her out. Curry Shot You. That's probably also a YouTube channel. You guys go check him out as well. So, yep, I think I got that one. Ali says, thank you. Of course, I could talk about this stuff for hours. Yes, Curry. Yes, I am a photographer / videographer. Very cool, man. Well, welcome to the live stream. I'm like an amateur photographer, an amateur videographer. I kind of do it just for fun. I recently got a 360 camera, and I started doing these 360 videos of like nature hikes and stuff and uploading those to YouTube and having a lot of fun with that. Yep, he said he didn't make much money off my home because of lumber prices. Yeah, it's crazy how expensive lumber is right now. Real estate or stocks, which do you prefer? Ooh, I like real estate, man. I mean, of course, I only own two houses right now. I would love to have more exposure to the real estate market. I would have loved to have it last year before we saw this crazy bull run. You know, they both have benefits, both have pros and cons. Real estate market, it's harder to get into. You know, it's not as liquid. You do have a lot of maintenance expenses and taxes and all this stuff, but you can get huge gains in it as well, and you can benefit from. What's great about the real estate market is, let's say you have $20,000. Real estate market, you could buy. I'm not good at math. What is $300,000? That house, I think, for $20,000 down. That's 20%. That doesn't sound right. But you can get leverage, right? You can get massive leverage. You can get 100% leverage. I bought this house with $0 down using the VA loan, you know, but even if you're buying an investment property, if you can put 20% down, you can get a 5-to-1 return on your money. And that entire asset is what is appreciating by average of 3% a year, not just your money. You know, if you could invest in a stock and that stock grows 3% a year, or you can get 5x leverage and buy a house, and that house grows 3% a year. That's actually 15% increase on your money, not just the 3%. So you can get massive leverage with real estate. So I do like real estate. Really, the best answer is probably diversify, have a little bit of both. I certainly have stocks. You know, I keep my money there, and it's nice having that liquidity there. If I need to sell that and get cash, I can do that in a day. You need to sell your house. I mean, it could take 2 months or so. Find an agent, get it up on the market, get photographs, close it, and all that stuff. A month and a half, 2 months maybe. So pros and cons of both. Big fan of Bitcoin right now. Tell you, I've been buying that since November 2018 when it was $6,000 a coin. So I'm pretty happy right now with how Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin is the future, guys. You know, a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, when are you going to sell your Bitcoin?" Like, no. You don't understand. It is going to get to a point where I don't want to have any of my cash in fiat currency. I want everything in Bitcoin. You saw that Tesla is now, you can buy cars with Tesla. There's a lot more companies now that are offering their employees to get paid in Bitcoin. So that's going to be a growing trend where you can get paid in Bitcoin. You can buy things with Bitcoin. You never have to have your money in the US dollar at all. And why would you? As soon as you have in that US dollar, it's instantly losing money, 3% a year, sometimes more. Whereas Bitcoin has been appreciating in value by 200% a year on average for the last 12 years. Look into that, 200% appreciation a year over the last 12 years is how much Bitcoin grows in value. Anyway, so I forget what my point was, but I'm a big fan of Bitcoin and real estate and stocks. Not a big fan of gold. I think gold is a lot of those precious metals, you know, there's not a limited amount to them. Somebody could discover a new gold mine somewhere and then suddenly flood the market. There's also a lot of manipulation in those markets as well. Look at the diamond market, for example. That's completely artificial and manipulated. Anyway, you stated previously to only offer a certain percentage over the listing. Please restate that percentage. Is the listing price and the appraised price the same? Really like your suggestion. Yeah, so I threw out a percentage. I just kind of made that up off the top of my head. I should look into that. If I had to put it in a percentage, it's probably like 2 to 3%. But Like I've seen $700,000 homes that sell for $750,000, right? So they're selling $50,000 above list price. But if you had a $200,000 home, you don't need to put a $50,000 above list price offer on a $200,000 home, right? You can get away with a lot less. You can do if you had a $200,000 home, if you offer like $5,000 above list price, you'll probably get it. For like the $300,000 to $400,000 home price range, it's not uncommon to see those selling for $10,000 to $15,000 above list price. That's very common. And I guess I could probably quantify that and get it into a percentage that would be applicable against all price ranges. But yeah, I don't know what the actual percentage would be, but most homes, pretty much all homes right now, are selling above list price. The higher the price range, the more it's selling above list price. The lower the price range, the less it's selling above list price. You should collaborate and do live streams with Jeb Smith Realtor. He is from West Coast. Yeah. So I think that sounds familiar. I got friends with Christina Smallhorn. She's got a great YouTube channel, and I think she had Jeb Smith on her, I believe. I actually know a lot of real estate agents. I need to focus on this channel a lot more. I've been slacking on it. Life's crazy. It's, and I've got too many dang YouTube channels. That's the truth of it. Yeah, I would love to do a collaboration with some other agents. I really need to get more organized in my life and start doing that stuff. The tricky part is like I get most of my income as a real estate agent, but this is how I get a lot of my businesses, from doing these live streams. And I really enjoy these as well, but yes, I should do some more live streams and collaborate with some other agents on that. Angry Mom Flips, look her up on YouTube. Malcolm, I'm out of state buyer. I asked my agent about a letter. He said it was 100% illegal in Maryland, although I have used a letter in my state. Okay, so yes. The Maryland Association of Realtors, they did just release some guidelines on personal letters. Maybe it wasn't the Maryland Association of Realtors. Maybe it was, yeah. So you're not supposed to. This is actually brand new, just like a week or 2 weeks ago. They released this saying that you're not supposed to. I got an email about it. If anybody asks, yes, I'm complying with that, but not everybody's really caught up on that just yet with those new regulations. So I thought I'd have a little bit of a grace period before anybody really cracks down on those. If you can do those in your state, they are very effective. I'll put it that way. And no, I probably shouldn't be putting them out, submitting those with my clients. Yeah, so condo is paid off since 2019. Hey, great. Congratulations. That's great. Yeah, it's always kind of a debate whether you should pay off your home or not. For a long time, when I first bought my house, I was 25, and I immediately started putting $100 extra a month towards paying off my mortgage. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to save all this money. But what I realized is that, sure, I'm saving money, but I could have gotten a better I could have gotten a better return on that money with other investments. So at the time I had, let's say like a 5% interest rate. I bought it in 2010. So let's say I put $100 down, like, great, I'm avoiding paying 5% interest on that $100 now. I have $100 less debt. I'm avoiding 5% interest rate on that. But I also could have just taken that and put it in the stock market. And if you would have invested in the S&P 500 in just an index fund or a whole market index fund, you would have seen an average of like a 9 to 10% return on your money. So I could pay off my mortgage early and avoid 5% on that $100, or I could have bought stocks and made 10% on that $100. You would have walked away with more money investing in the stocks. Now, I'm kind of a young guy. I can afford to do that. If you're a little bit older, maybe you're looking to retire and paying off your home is the last thing you need to do before you can retire, then by all means, pay off your home early. But this pros and cons, weighing those two options on what to do with your money, it's much trickier now. Well, actually, it's not. It's much easier now. Now that interest rates are so low, my mortgage on this is 2.75%. So if I could take my money and get a better investment better return on that money than 2.75%, I absolutely should do that. And you can buy stocks that pay you dividends higher than 2.75%, every year. So you can definitely get a much better investment of your money. So personally, I'm not a big fan of paying off your home completely at this time. Hey, it's Jeremy Blayton. How are you, buddy? What's happening, dude? Long time no chat. I know, I've been slacking. Look what I got since we last talked, and I got my fancy camera working. Where is the inventory? Yeah, that is the $1 million question. We're all waiting for that inventory to hit the market. Hi, Christina. How are you? Great icon. Yeah, we're waiting for the inventory to hit the market. That's really what we need. If we just get more inventory in the market, it would really help us make progress towards balancing out the market. Joe Biden is releasing this, I think it's a $25,000 grant for first-time home buyers. And I love where his heart is. I love helping first-time home buyers out. Here's my concern, though. That isn't helping with the inventory. That is going to exacerbate. That's going to make this issue worse with the high buyers, low sellers, right? Because now all those first-time home buyers are going to be entering the market using this. We're going to see a surge in the buyers, but the inventory is going to stay the same, but we're going to see more buyers entering the market, and they can now afford more. It's just going to make the issue worse. What I would love to see, I don't know what the solution is, but we need more inventory. Absolutely, we need more inventory. Hi, Christina. Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Malcolm. like the hair, Malcolm. Yeah, thank you. I got a haircut. I went a little short. I'm growing this thing out too. I want to somehow grow a much bigger beard. I'm going bald, so I thought if I grow a beard, maybe it would kind of distract people from that. Nicely done on the play button, friend. I've been slammed here. I have too. I was telling them at the beginning of the live stream, I submitted 2 offers this morning. I submitted for 2 different clients, another offer yesterday for another client. Then Friday, I submitted another offer for another buyer client, all of them buyers. And I have a couple of listings lined up as well. Exacerbate. Yes, thank you for that, Jeremy. All right, so I had a couple comments from my videos that I wanted to touch on. Here we go. Let me go ahead and read this. So this means you have to pay 15% more. Yeah, so these are just comments from my videos that I thought were interesting. So by all means, guys, remember to comment on my videos. I may answer them during one of these live streams. This means you have to pay 15% more than the home would have been 12 months ago. See, this is what low interest rates do, not more buying power. That's all a lie. So he kind of brings up a good point there. I'm not going to lie. Get rid of that. Hold on. Why do I have so many of these up? Here we go. Yeah, there is usually a direct correlation with interest rates and home values. Sorry, I guess an inverse correlation. Interest rates go down, home values go up. Interest rates go up, home values, they don't really go down. I looked at the data. They leveled out. But as interest rates go down, home values go up. There's a very strong correlation with that. You can see that through the data. And why is that? Well, for the same monthly payment, a buyer can now afford more buying power. They can afford a more expensive house for the same monthly payment. And so they're going to offer more. They're going to look at higher price ranges. Sellers can now sell their homes for more. So that is very, very common. And you said, what was the phrasing that you used? It's not more buying power. So it is at the very start. And as soon as interest rates drop, if you can lock an interest rate in and go and buy something, but over time, the market balances out to that new normal. So if we see a huge drop in interest rates, we're going to see a huge spike in home values, and then they're going to kind of level out. So I was telling people on this channel at the last year, buy a home right now because we're at a very unique time where your mortgage payment is going to be less than it was 12 months prior, even though you're paying more for the house because the interest rates were low. But we passed that point. We kind of caught up. And now, even though you have a lower interest rate, now you are paying so much more for the house that your mortgage payment is going to be higher than it would have been, 18 months ago. So yeah, interest rates are not everything. Where was I? I got 6 ratified in the past 7 days. Holy cow! Congrats, man. That's huge. That's a lot. My goal this year, the most I've done is I've worked with 30 clients in 1 year, 30 closings in 1 year. This year, I really wanted to focus on YouTube, and I was saying to myself, like, okay, 1 to 2 clients a month. That is it. No more. 1 to 2 clients. I'm cutting it off. But it's so hard to turn them down sometimes, man. I think I've got 3 under contract right now, and I've got 3 offers that I've submitted that are waiting to get accepted or declined. But yeah, 6 in the last 7 days, 6 clients. That's fantastic. So you must be doing pretty good. You must know these tactics to get your offers accepted. Curry Shot You says, becoming a real estate agent in 2021, yay or nay? I was actually going to publish a video about this. Send me an email. By all means, man, Malcolm@livinginmaryland.com. So it kind of depends. I really have to know your scenario. So becoming a real estate agent is not easy. I don't want to fluff it up. It is not easy. And the hardest part is getting clients. Like, you can learn all the, technicalities and all the laws and how to write a contract and all the how-to stuff. But the hardest part is getting clients. And for me, what I do is I do this. I do YouTube stuff, and that's how I get my clients. There's other people that do paid advertisements on Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff. That a lot of people, they just, rely on their sphere of influence, their friends and their family and their friends of the friends and all that stuff. But that's the hardest part, is getting clients. So you really got to figure that out first. Are you good at marketing or SEO, or are you a social person? If you're none of those things, if you can't figure out a good way to get clients, it may be tricky. Now, it is a crazy market, and it kind of stinks being a buyer's agent right now, but home values are up, and the number of transactions every month are up as well. So it's not a bad time to be an agent. A lot of people will naysay right now, and they'll, piss and moan and everything, but like a lot of agents will, because it is more work right now than it was last year. When it used to be, I'd work with a client for a few weeks. I show them, 6, 7 properties. We get one of them under contract. Now I'm working with my clients 3, 4 months sometimes, and I'm showing them 20 properties, and we're submitting 2, 3, 4 offers before we get one under contract. So it is a lot more work right now being a real estate agent than it was 12, 14, 16 months ago. But the number of sales, the number of closed transactions across the board is up. So there are more clients out there. And our commission is based on percentage of the sales price. So home values are going up, and so our commission is going up incrementally as well. So it is more work right now, but we're also getting paid a little bit more as well. So it kind of balances out. So by all means, yeah, it kind of up to you. If you want to go, I did it part-time. I did it part-time for 1 year. I only had 1 client that first year as a part-time agent, but that was still enough for me to get my feet wet and then jump into it full-time. I'll make a video about that. I think I will, because I've had a lot of people ask me that. Like, I get people saying like, hey, should I just get my real estate license to save on the commission? Answer for that is usually no. Like, if that's going to be your only transaction, you're probably going to screw it up and cost yourself more money. But by all means, if you want a side hustle or you want a new career, that could definitely be an option. I haven't had an offer accepted in over a month. It's insanity. Yes. That's not uncommon. It's crazy out there right now. It's very frustrating just how competitive, and it's just a crazy market. It stinks being a buyer's agent right now. It is so much more work right now. It's literally like 3, 4x more work being a buyer's agent. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with that they get buyer's fatigue and they just drop out. It happens, especially just because if somebody has a vision for what they want and there's just no inventory in the market and they just can't find anything, they end up just kind of, well, we can't find what we're looking for, and we just kind of give up. And it's very frustrating. And I try my hardest not to allow that to happen, but sometimes it happens. We got another comment here. OMG, don't stop. Yeah, there's just no inventory in the market. There's no houses. That's what we need. We need more houses in the market. And that is not a quick process, even for builders to start building houses. I mean, you're 12 months down the road from them to buy the land, get the permits and get it zoned and everything from the county and get all the building material. Like, that's a long process. I think the foreclosure moratorium should be coming to an end soon. They keep extending it by a month. But once that happens and we start seeing a huge surge in foreclosures, eventually we're going to see more inventory in the market from that. But even that, my understanding is that foreclosures can take 6 to 12 months from the initial notice of foreclosure before that is actually a home on the market. So there's not going to be any inventory for a little while. There's no real silver lining. There's no light on the horizon or anything. This is going to be the market for the rest of the year. I think so. Well, we do need more inventory. I'm hoping the foreclosure crisis will help out with that once that finally hits. I know that sounds crazy. Great info. Thank you. No crash coming. Laugh out loud. Prices of homes here in Arizona are increasing weekly. You could buy a home 1 month, in 2 months resell and make $50,000. Nuts. Yeah. So Arizona especially, their market is just really saturated right now. I guess a lot of people are moving from California to Arizona. So their market is even crazier. So she said that, you could buy a home and sell it 2 months later for $50,000. I had some clients, I helped them buy a home 12 months ago. 12 months ago, now his boss says that he can work from home permanently. And so he wanted to move back out of Maryland and go back home to Pennsylvania because he only moved down here for his job. And he sold his home for $50,000 over what he paid for it 12 months ago. I think it was about $600,000 is what he bought it for. He sold it for $650,000. So he walked away with a little over $30,000 in profit in 12 months, which is crazy. He originally reached out to me like, hey, my boss says I can work from home. I want to sell that house he just helped us buy. And I was like, oh, man, okay. If you break even, you'll be lucky. But no, he more than broken even. He walked away with an extra $30,000 in his pocket. That is the crazy market that we're in right now. This is the new normal. It's not going to change anytime soon. I wonder if mortgage rates get back up to 4%. Will that change the crazy buyers who are forcing these prices, or will it make a difference? What's his name? His name is the Mental Vet Investing. Yes, that would absolutely change everything. And that's why I'm saying the Fed could crash this market at any moment. This is a manipulated market in a lot of ways. The Federal Reserve is creating this buyer's market that we're in right now. If it went up to 4%, if it went up 0.5%, that would mean that the buyers can't afford as much. They'd be looking at lower price ranges. That would change everything. If it went up to 4%, a lot of buyers who could afford like a $300,000 house, now all they could afford is like $250,000 house. They may just not buy at all. So yeah, if interest rates go up, that will stop this market. I am very confident about that. So yes, I'm about to enter the market as a seller and a buyer in Georgia. This is some great info. I'm retired Air Force and see your Air Force, an Air Force vet as well. I am, yes, I did 11 years in the Air Force. Thank you for continuing to serve in this capacity. Well needed. Yes, thank you. Well. So I want to touch on this one because he's a buyer and a seller. And this is kind of interesting that if you are selling in this high market, right, you're selling and you're making a profit, but you're also buying in the high market. And those two things cancel each other out. A lot of people don't really look at it that way. So let's say you sell your home and I made $100,000 profit. All right. But then you go and buy a home and you're probably going to have to pay $100,000 more for that other home as well. So those two things kind of cancel each other out. So yeah, don't be hesitant to buy and sell at the same time. The only difference is if, I think it's called arbitrage. Well, maybe that's not quite an example of arbitrage. An arbitrage is when you have like two different markets, and you're buying an asset in one market and selling in another one. Well, that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like a real estate arbitrage. Maybe I'll make that a video about that. I'll have to Google and make sure I'm using that word properly. But if you know, one of the last videos I did, it showed that the National Association of Realtors says that the East Coast home value appreciated by 20%, but like the Midwest, they only appreciated in value. I think it was like 14% in the last year or so. So if you sold really high in a high market like the East Coast, and then you move to a market that has not appreciated nearly as much, that's the only real way that you're going to actually walk away with a profit from buying and selling a home like that. So it's just kind of interesting to kind of think about things in that manner. Saw an Arizona home sell in January for $613,000, on sale this month for $740,000 in Arizona. Golly, man. So some people just get lucky. Whoever bought that, you know, they just got lucky there, and they're going to make, you know, $100,000 profit, which is crazy. And like, where's that money coming from? Because like, it's not really coming from the buyer, because the buyer, you know, buyers are really only concerned about, you know, what their monthly mortgage payment is if they are financing. So if they're financing, like, where did that $100,000 come from? It's coming from the bank, who's getting that money from the Fed. You know, it's crazy. I can barely wrap my head around it. But this real estate market is artificial, just like the stock market is, and it's heavily influenced by the Fed. And the Fed is going to keep this market propped up as long as they can. So that's crazy. Good for them, man. Good for them for making $100,000 like that. I hope they're good people. That's all I can say. No updates or upgrades. Crazy market. It is a crazy market. I think that's it for today, guys. I'm getting a little hoarse and dried here. Thanks so much. I do have some other videos planned. I really do want to start focusing on this channel a little bit more. I just passed 20,000 subscribers on this channel. So I am 1/5 of the way to getting another silver play button. That's how I look at it. So I got to keep pumping out content on here. And yeah, best of luck with everybody. If you are a buyer, go watch my video, 10 tips to actually get your offer accepted. Like, I'm pretty proud of that. I kind of put a lot of thought into that video. And all those strategies are strategies that I'm using right now myself with my clients, and we are having luck getting our offers accepted. Thanks so much, everybody. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'll see you guys later.